3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Dweebz in Japanese podcast. I am one of your hosts, Patrick.
Hey Patrick, and I'm also one of your hosts, Khalil.
Thank you for being my host.
Yeah, thank you for being my host.
Sweet. So Khalil, our assignment last week was to watch the first episode of Darker Than Black. Did you do that?
Ooh, I sure did.
Yay.
It was difficult.
It was difficult? Yeah, because you watched it without subtitles like me, right?
Yeah.
So just nothing. Yeah. So it was difficult. Did you understand?
I did it before.
Okay.
I understood what was going on for the most part. Like even just with it's like you mentioned before, just by kind of watching it, you can get a lot of context views, even if you have no idea what they're saying. You can kind of get the gist of it. So yeah, in the first episode, I'm just skipping like the very beginning, where it kind of just introduced the main character. They're searching for a girl. I don't know why though. I don't remember why.
Yeah. They're searching for a girl because so he meets that girl because he's like an exchange student, right?
Yeah.
From China. And so he's from China and they're all speaking Japanese and she also speaks Japanese like perfectly. which is interesting. But yeah, he's her neighbor. And he understands something, that she's like in danger or something, but she doesn't seem to be a kyakusha. She doesn't seem to be like a contractor or whatever, the superpowered person. But she's being like followed around by the superpowered people. We're not really sure why either.
Okay, so they didn't go over that in the first episode, right?
I don't remember them saying anything like that. But yeah, she's just like his neighbor, and I forgot her name. I don't even remember her name.
Me too. Although I know she's being pursued by the police. Hey, and his group,
Kirihara
contractor. Yeah, Kirihara
Keiji, and I don't remember her first name. I just never laughed at with Kirihara.
Yeah, and then she's also being hunted by those other contractors, the Kyakusha.
Yeah. And this episode, I think there's only one group of contractors.
Yeah, we only saw one confirmed one, which was the guy who like went through the wall or like teleport.
Yeah. And that's the thing about the manga, because I'm reading the manga at the same time, and I'm a little bit further ahead in the manga. It's completely different. Like the beginning is completely different than the anime. So maybe I'm reading.
Can I ask what you're reading? Because there's two versions. There's one
I'm probably reading a different version. Yeah, let me go ahead and actually bring it.
Okay.
Yeah. So this version is oh man, I don't even know the first kanji, but it's this one. Oh, it might be like.
Does that have flower in it at all?
Yes, flowers right here.
Okay, that's a completely different story.
Really?
Yeah. Also, I think you're using the wrong mic right now, because I heard you when you were out of the room.
Oh, really?
Do I sound better now?
Oh yeah.
Do I sound different? Okay, cool.
You do sound better. Yeah.
Sweet. That's so annoying because it has. I don't get that. That doesn't make sense at all. But I'm gonna hard set it to my good mic. Yeah. This is a different one. Interesting. So yeah, this is about like the whole, because like all of the characters and everything are completely different. And and it goes immediately into like the girl seeing a kyakusha, and immediately into the flower stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so, like
Kirihara is like talking to this dude who's he's actually another police officer, but I was like, yeah, this is completely different.
Yeah.
The only thing that's the same is Kirihara and Heia and Dean. So those three are the only ones who are the same. But
yeah, so I just looked it up real quick. That series takes place after the first season.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Huh.
So you're like simultaneously going like season 1 and season 1.5 at the same time.
Weird. I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense why they're like so quick to go into the story in this one.
Yeah, because they would assume everything's already kind of established.
Okay. That's interesting. It doesn't say like series 2 or something. It only says the flower, like the black flower. I don't even know the first kanji. I must go look that up. Never learned that one. Something black flower.
Over here it says Shikoku. I don't know what that means though.
Good.
Shikoku.
Yo, Koku is black. I don't even know what that is. I'm interested. But that's cool. So the first episode of the TV show of the anime is it was interesting, and it started off with like basically kind of describing what these people are. That one police officer. Oh wait, no, that's in the manga. Dang it. Does Kirihara explain? Yeah, she explains a little bit about what the contractors are in the show.
Yeah, it sounded like she was explaining like the fake sky.
The fake, yes, exactly. The fake sky and the wall. And I didn't really understand if she was talking about the wall containing all of them, or if it talked about the wall like protecting them. Like it's surrounding the entire city.
I think it's the second one.
So it's surrounding the entire city?
Yeah, I
because I thought it was like Chernobyl where they put a wall around the gate, like Hell's Gate or whatever it's called, like the.
Oh yeah, you thought I see.
Like Chernobyl, there's Hell's Gate, right, opening up or whatever, and then it has like a wall around it. But she just said the wall, and then she said the wall is like covering up something. But she said the fake sky too, which makes me think, okay, maybe it is covering like the city, and then showing the fake stars and the fake sky. Because remember in the park when right before he kisses her to like hide her or whatever from the contractors, he was saying like, oh, I'm looking at the stars, and she's like, you're not from here, are you? Because those stars are fake and they don't change, they're not interesting. So that actually makes me think you're right. It's like they're in a box basically being protected from the outside, which is even like more sinister and kind of creepy.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is out there that's so bad?
Yeah. And how does it end again? The very end of the episode. Don't remember.
I don't remember actually, even though I watched it just last night.
I know. So like they were going and they were being chased.
I think they just met up after she ran out of that room. Because she got captured by.
Oh, that's definitely how it ended. She was like crying, and he's like, he looked at her or whatever, and he's like, oh, and then she pretending to be surprised, like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. How did that work out? I'm not a stalker. Also, like the club too, the club scene. That was pretty funny. He's like
two policemen.
Yeah, he's like the two policemen in the club or whatever, and the guys are like, oh, don't be chasing after our customers or whatever. You'll be mistaken as like a stalker or whatever. And he's like, no, I'm a police officer. And then like she bursts out the door and then they go chase her. That was pretty stereotypical type of scene. And he was like so embarrassed to be in there, and the other police officer was like totally chill with it.
Yeah, just having a good time.
Yeah. That was a funny scene. That scene, like those kind of scenes, I understand a lot more than the very beginning. The very beginning was a little bit hard for me to understand. I think it was because of like Hei was speaking so quietly and fast, and there was a lot of like ambient sound, so I couldn't even make out what he was saying because the rain or whatever, and then all the other atmospheric sound was. No, it wasn't the rain. He was chasing a contractor, right? The blonde-haired dude who's like from France or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it started. That's how that started. Yeah. And then they found him dead, right? Which is weird because they don't even show him killing him. He just like died. But that was hard for me to understand what they're talking about just because there was so much ambient noise from the city and stuff like that. But one thing I do really like about the show is how like ambient it is, and it makes you feel like you're in the city, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
that's the benefit of an anime, like having the sound and the music and then the voice acting and stuff like that. Obviously, on like a manga, you can't really do all of that. So
true.
Yeah, with this one, it's like seeing the show and then reading the manga is like, oh, I know exactly how these characters talk and like their personalities and stuff. But if it's this and then the show,
you don't really have
a little bit harder. But because it's almost like manga's kind of, it almost leads to the show, right? It's almost like a precursor to the show most of the time, and it is most of the time.
So. Yeah, I always felt, well, I guess in this case, it's the opposite, because it's an original anime that was adapted into a manga.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I found that out yesterday because I was trying to find other things because this show is really unique in my opinion, like in the atmosphere and like it's just, I don't know, there's something about it that's kind of different. And I was trying to find more works by the same, like what I thought was author, but it was produced and created by like the same guy at the anime studio.
Interesting. That's cool. Yeah, it feels like it feels like Attack on Titan, honestly, but better. Because Attack on Titan, it feels like it kind of is the same all the way through. Like they try to make it's almost like not Game of Thrones, but sort of like that. Like they try to make every episode like overly over the top ridiculous, and try to always be blowing your mind every episode, where there's no real like progression, or I don't know. I don't want to get into that. I can't articulate it right now, but I definitely enjoyed Dark in the Back a lot. So it was a good episode.
Yeah, I'm glad to be watching it again.
Yeah, it's been fun. And so we're gonna try to watch an episode a week, right? That seems really, really doable because they're only like 20 something minutes long. So
yeah, exactly.
If anybody's listening, they can also follow along and then try to watch without subtitles if you're studying, and if you're not, no worries. But if you really just don't, actually, that's kind of the point too. When you're studying, you're not gonna know a lot. And so it helps to try to pick out what people are saying. I even did that during the show. They're saying some couple things. We'll get to the words. A lot of my favorite words recently are from that show, and so I wanted to call those out because they're kind of interesting and they're sort of related to the show and the story. They make a lot of sense in the show and the story, and actually will probably come up a lot more. But you wouldn't say all the time unless it was sort of like a supernatural setting or something like that. But what I was saying though is that like while we're watching the show, I am constantly listening and like hearing something that I don't know, or I'm like, oh, what is that again? And then I look it up in my dictionary on my phone. And of course, if you can find the subtitles, then it's easier because you can see what the kanji is or what the kana is and be able to look it up. But honestly, just from hearing it, they'll say like keha, and then you'll look it up and say, oh, ke I ha, and then you'll be able to find it. So it's pretty simple. So I'd encourage people to not rely too much on subtitles because they don't allow you to be in that uncomfortable, I don't know what's going on.
That's for sure.
That is really important though. Like I don't know what's going on. I'm trying really hard to understand. It's almost like a dog trying to understand a new command, right?
Yeah.
We're training Bella now, and we added this thing to what we do now when we go on a walk. We want her to pay attention to us until we say it's okay for you to like wander and go pee or whatever. So when it's time to go pee, or when it's time to go potty or whatever, and you can like go sniff in the grass, basically, we say break. So that we make her sit and we say break, and then we want her to look at us first to wait for the next command, and we say break, and then she can go to do whatever she wants, and then we say let's go, and then she has to pay attention to us again, and we go on a walk again. So with that, like we're telling her, this is your time to do whatever, and then this is your time to follow us and stay in attention again.
Yeah.
So when so she's always like, now before she was just like, I'm gonna go do whatever I want. This is a fun time. Now it's like, oh, okay, there's walk time and there's kind of chill fun time.
Yeah.
When you're listening to, but she, like the point is she's trying to listen and understand what we're doing and looking at us all the time. So like when you're in a different country too, and there's like being in Japan for the first time and being surrounded by Japanese and trying to really pick out what they're saying, and like I feel like a dog, like who doesn't understand the commands or the, and then being in a conversation with somebody for the first time too, where some people assume, so in Japan, obviously if you look Western, or just if you look not Japanese, basically wherever you're from, they will not make the assumption that you know Japanese, and so they'll try to speak English or just be like nervous and not want to engage you because they're self-conscious. They're like, I don't speak good English, so I don't want to engage that person because I suck at English, and they're going to try to speak English to me, is how they feel.
Yeah.
And so even if you speak just a little bit of Japanese, in Japan, Japanese people will be like, like, okay. And then sometimes they think you know more than you do, and then they'll go like,
gotcha.
Speak a full couple sentences to you, and then you're like, the first time to me, I was like, I understood so desu ka, and I understand like namae, but I didn't really understand everything else that surrounded it. So I just like, you try to guess and you pause for a second, and then sometimes you just don't understand what they're saying, but you say like, so, hi, you try to fake it.
Yeah, just to keep things going along, yeah.
Yeah, you try to fake it.
Gotta fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah, but the problem is, I mean, you can do that so much, but again, like you don't know, and so you're trying to make guesses, and just like a dog, you're like, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna lay down. What do you want me to do? You want me to sit, lay down? You're saying you want me to give you your hand, like your paw. So we say paw, but the dog doesn't know what paw means. So it tries to sit, it tries to lay down, it tries to roll over, it tries to look at you, it tries to wait, but because it doesn't know what paw is, so it needs to like have you tell it what it is and put it in the situation where it knows what it is. Like in Japan, or listening to people, you pick out when people say things, and then like a certain context comes, somebody's saying a certain thing, and then you kind of like expect the answer. It's really weird. I don't really know how to describe it other than that. Like I'll not know what a word means, but just through osmosis, I'll hear Judy say it to somebody, I'll hear her parents say it to somebody when something is said to them, like as in response, they'll just say something. And it's like the normal thing to say. One word like that is yappari, like yappari or yahari. It means as I thought, but it really doesn't mean that because people use it as much as people use like over here. But like if something happens, they'll say, for example, if I am saying to you, Khalil, I say, Khalil, is it cheese moldy? I don't think it's moldy. And then I go into the refrigerator, I open it up, and then I cut the cheese, and I look inside and I see it's moldy. I said, yappari kabi ga dekita. So yappari is like as I thought. But some people say that in a sentence, and it's just a kuchiguse. It's like their favorite thing to say that they don't mean to say. It's like
it's like a filler.
Bad habit. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's like I say like a lot too, right? That's a bad habit. Some people say for the most part, or I say a lot. So
they're just words that don't really add anything to the actual sentence. Is that...
Yes, right. But they do mean something, and some people use it correctly, but a lot of people use yappari as a sort of a filler word when they're
interesting.
Yeah, and so you hear that a lot. Listen for yappari when you're listening to conversations, because that's a really, really common conversation thing. I don't know if honestly you'll hear it too much in anime, because anime is not real dialogue.
Yeah.
There's no repeating words. People don't backtrack when they're talking. It's because it's all script, right? It's just all.
Yeah, well, it's like that in pretty much any language.
Any show, any movie, yeah.
Yeah.
But listening to, I would encourage people to listen to Japanese podcasts too, like entirely in Japanese, not what we do too, but listen to us for like help and some general fun completely understandable conversation, but also go listen to some Japanese comedians like Sandwich Man, Sandwich Man.
Sandwich Man has a podcast?
They have a podcast. They're a comedy duo. They're really, really famous in Japan, like super famous. One of Judy's favorite comedians, comedy group. And they have a podcast on, I know, on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, I think on Spotify. And they're pretty funny. And they also take letters from like international people who are studying Japanese, and they'll read it. And which is fun because they're really famous in Japan and on TV all the time. So listening to them talk is really fun because they're funny. They're pretty simple and they're Japanese. So I would recommend Sandwich Man. I'm talking too much. Let's move on to the latest news. Hello?
Yeah, so I've been making some good progress, I think. I'm in Wanakani, of course. We're not sponsored, just so you know, but I feel like Patrick and I would die by this app. That'd be amazing. But yeah, so still making good progress on that. I stick into my schedule, hit every day except one, but I've been doing at least my lessons every day, so that's 5 words a day, and it's been a week, so it's awesome. 5 times 7. I do biology, not math, so
35.
Yeah, so 35 new words, but they're more like
in the last week.
Most of them are radicals, and then
kanji.
Yeah, it's always confusing to me when I've noticed, first of all, there's a lot of kanji that is pronounced ko.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because sometimes the pronunciation is like, it'll like teach you one and then give you 3 examples that don't use that. And it's confusing to me.
Yeah, I think that's all intentional though. And then at the end, like right now I'm level 55. And it's all now readings that are the same reading that have slightly different kanji, but they typically mean similar things. And so I think they did that and they organized it to make it confusing so that you're confused at the beginning and you learn to make out the differences.
Gotcha.
So that later when you see it, you're not confused. Like, kind of what it means and like the different nuances and stuff.
Yeah, where it's not like, oh, this is the first time I'm seeing this at level 50.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Which is, I know it's hard to do because there's a lot of reasons it's hard to do, but right, us foreigners, especially to like Chinese and these characters, is that the super complex characters with a lot of radicals and a lot of different strokes and stuff like that are hard for us to understand and make out and kind of picture in our mind. So that's why Wanikani starts really simple, like tsuchi or to or do, right? The soil radical, the dirt radical, or not radical, kanji. That's really simple, right? And like ichi, ni, san, those are simple kanji. So we can learn those really quickly. But when you get to things like gi, like gimon, doubt, that's a really complicated one. Or even something like boku or ore, and being able to write that or picture that in your head is it takes time, it takes practice because there's a bunch of different things in there.
Yes, it is very true.
So for people trying to, like as far as the lesson is concerned, right, like picking out those differences in the beginning makes it easier to understand later.
Yeah, but I think it's good. It's good stuff, Also, another little just interesting thing is the kanji for self.
Self, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically I with the radical I with like a little drop on top.
I don't remember the radical I.
It's
what? They changed names too of different radicals, by the way.
Okay.
As I was doing Wanikani, because I've been doing it for
that's
8 years or something. Yeah, so like later they changed the meaning underneath me. But what's nice is that they actually keep the old meanings in the system, but they don't show it as a meaning.
Oh, so like if you learned it that way, you can still...
I can still put it in the text input field as the old meaning and it will work. But if I look at the description of what it is, it's not listed.
Oh, you won't see it.
Yeah, which is nice.
The kanji, the radical for I is like, it's like day with another, like with 2 strikes instead of 1 in the middle.
Oh, you mean a physical eye, like an eyeball?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
I was thinking
eye.
boku, ore, or watashi. I was thinking that. Or watashi, yeah.
EYE, yeah.
Yeah, EYE.
That's the same as white, isn't it?
No, it's different. So white is
Is it 1?
White kanji is me, so eyeball with a little flag on top, like this little drop on top.
Yeah, that's the same for self, isn't it? I'm looking at it here. G, like jibun, like that kanji.
Is it the same? Yeah. G. Is it the same? I don't know if it's the same. Did you look it up?
Well, I'm looking at self. I haven't looked at white yet.
Let me look, because I don't think it is. I think there is a little bit of a difference there. But I can't picture it in my head why.
It's it has one line in the middle instead of 2.
Yeah. Right. So that's self, right?
Yes.
White has an extra line.
One less line.
I have no idea. One less line.
It's the opposite. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Line. Yeah. That makes sense. Jibun. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I just got confused there.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. There is one less line. That's odd because I don't typically see, because you see shiro by itself, right? White. You see that by itself a lot. And jibun, you always see that, like G, you always see that with another kanji, like a jukugo. So I don't really, that little difference too. I guess you're learning those differences now, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because I just recently learned the self kanji. Radical.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What about you? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I let's see. I've been working through the Darker Than Black manga, which I now learned is not the same as the show, the current show that we're watching, which makes sense now. It's still interesting, and because I already watched the show a while ago, it does make sense to me. But it definitely felt really fast compared to the show, as far as like it makes a bunch of assumptions, like what the stuff is. So, but it's really good and interesting. I do definitely wish there was more color. Obviously, I know mangas, they don't really, colored manga is actually really rare because that's a lot of work. But but the beginning has a little bit of color. It's like, if the whole thing was in color, that'd be awesome, because
that would be really nice.
Especially reading at night, it's a little bit hard to make out what's going on in the scene. Because that's what I typically do, is I'm reading it 10, 15, 20 minutes before bed. So, which is nice though. But I definitely feel like I'm probably missing a lot of details that I would get, say, if I was reading in the morning or in the middle of the day.
When your mind's tired. A little more,
and it feels sort of like, I mean, it doesn't feel like a huge assignment because it's actually really interesting, and I am interested in this, and I think that's really important, that you're interested in what you're consuming. Otherwise, it's just homework and boring. But yeah, I definitely think that I should read it maybe a little, maybe like an hour before bed instead of literally minutes before bed. So I think I need to make a little bit more time for it, but
I mean, I've been liking it. Some progress, which is nice.
No, for sure. Like I'm more than halfway through, done with it. But I remember probably 50% of what I read. Just because of that. Like I'm reading sort of at night.
Yeah.
Before bed. So I don't know.
Well, that wouldn't make sense.
I might go back and read it honestly again, and then like skim it again, because it is pretty simple. Like mangas are pretty fast reads. So yeah.
How long is that?
That's been fun. Oh, it's how many pages? Let's see. Go to the back here. Oh, this is some like preview for the next thing. It's but then actually they don't write the page numbers.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, they don't write the page numbers. It's probably 100 No, more than that. Maybe 150 to 200 pages.
Oh, whoops! I accidentally looked at the spoilers for Nazo Nazo. I know all the answers now.
Yeah, it might say somewhere where all the pages are, but I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's fun. I like it. I was gonna say that I've also been looking at brief news with the Todai app, which is one of our recommendations too for news, because that's really nice. I really like all of the little helpers in there, because that's one of the hardest things to read for people, is for me especially, but for anybody I think, is the news articles, especially Yahoo News or really any, because that's some of the most difficult. Japanese readers even don't know a lot of the kanji in there unless they're reading every day. So it's like good practice for people, right? What's nice about Todai is that it has a little bit simpler Japanese than that, but also it has all those helpers that you mentioned, and it also shows like the JLPT categorizations of different words, like color coded. So N5, for example, is highlighted, N4 and everything in different colors. So, and you can always click on a word, like a kanji word, to look up the meaning and stuff. It's so super cool, and you can like favorite it.
Okay, really nice. I never understood that classification. Is it just like a ranking of like difficulty or something?
Yeah. So N5, I think N5 is the hardest. I might be totally wrong. I think N5 is the hardest, and N1 is the easiest. Although the color coding makes that seem like it's not the case. Maybe I have to clarify that. I would have to clarify that, because I'm looking at these words, and kimeru seems like a really, really easy word. But when I look up, but hoka is also a really easy word, so I don't know. I think the N5 is the hardest, though. That's what I think. But I could be wrong. But basically, that's the scale of difficulty, and then like when you take the Japanese language proficiency test.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, the JLPT that you have to take if you want to get a job in Japan at many like offices and stuff as a foreigner.
Okay.
That's like a good guide to see. And actually, what's cool is it has under the articles, like they're listed in a list view, and underneath the articles there's those colored bars, and actually those are percentages of the amount of difficult words in that article. So for example, you know that you're at a N5 level or something, then you look for the blue, like a really big blue bar.
I see. That's
to practice that. Yeah. And if you want to move along, you look for a little bit bigger of a bar of like say yellow, which is N4. So.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah. I didn't know you could look it up like that. Like.
Yeah, it's cool. I didn't notice that either until the other day when I was looking at it. I was like, is that? Oh yeah, all the bars are different. Oh, that's cool. So.
Very cool.
So, Khalil, what's your favorite word recently?
Favorite word? I can't find my thing, but I think it was injustice. Or no. It was gem. I was gonna put injustice, but I remember there's a cool anime I like called Hoseki no Kuni. We've talked about it a long time ago.
Hoseki no Kuni, yeah.
But I finally learned the kanji for it, and it's
that's cool.
It's cool now. So
yeah, I don't know if I know Hoseki no Kuni. Do we watch?
I don't think you've ever seen it, but we've talked about it once. I would recommend it. It's cool. on that Amazon streaming thing service they have. It's like a short 12-episode one.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, I definitely like short series, not the Bleach or One Piece or something.
You don't want to devote weeks of your life?
Literally half of my life. Yeah, I mean, there's a new show or a new movie. So I like a lot of movies, like Ghibli movies and short shows. So I think Darker Than Black 2 is a little bit longer than a short show, but it's good. And the episodes are so short, it doesn't feel super long. It actually feels kind of short, the entire series.
Right? It doesn't overstay its welcome, I would say.
Yeah, it's real good. I'll say that the movie that Judy and I want to watch that looks interesting is Tenki no Ko. So there's I don't know if you know Kimi no Nawa. It's like, what's your name? It's like your name. Okay. Your name is the name of is the English title of the movie.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that. Then.
I watched that in Japan for the first time with my mother-in-law. And it was interesting. I forgot if she was like making fun of it or if she actually did enjoy it. I think she actually did enjoy it. It was a little cheesy, but it was kind of interesting. Anyways, the gashitsu, the quality of the picture is what gashitsu means. Was real good. So like it was really pretty. Like the drawing and everything, the sound design, everything was real good. So the next
I see.
Their newest movie is Tenki no Ko. So Weathered Friend, or I don't remember the English title. It's like Weathered something. It looks interesting. And honestly, it looks like a similar concept of it looks like a similar you can actually watch it on YouTube.
Oh, is it not?
Just cool.
I thought it was a movie.
Okay. You can rent it or you can buy it on YouTube. We've been watching because we have a Chromecast, so we've been watching a lot of movies on YouTube. So my favorite words recently actually related to Darker Than Black. So shiru kenri. So kenri is like right to do something. So if like kenri ga aru, I think you could say that. That means I have the right to do something, or so shiru, like yaru kenri, I think that probably means right to do something. I'll have to look that up and make sure. Maybe ask Judy, but kenri is like right. The authority kind of to do something.
Yes.
So shiru kenri. I heard this from I think I actually read this in the manga. Yeah, I think I read this in the manga. And some police officer was talking to Kirihara, and he was saying like that something like I couldn't figure out what the details of that was because of shiru kenri ga nakatta. Like I didn't have the right to know. Shiru is to know, and kenri is right. So shiru kenri is like right to know. So using the same like formula, I think that yaru kenri is like the right to do. And you can use like any verb in front of kenri, it's just the right to blah blah blah. I think.
Oh, okay.
Oftentimes I'll do that. Like I'll just make a guess, like a best educated guess about how to use something, and most of the time it works, but sometimes people give me strange looks. So like, huh? So I think that would work if you looked up in the dictionary. I think that's probably because like shiru kenri shows up in the dictionary as one word, when in reality it's like a phrase.
Yeah. That kind of gets tricky when you get cases like that.
Yeah, yaru kenri. Does that show up? It doesn't show up, but right, kenri shows up. So I'm sure
it's probably one of those things that would be understood, like if you said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
like logically makes sense.
Yeah. And then so I got 3 more. The other one from Darker Than Black. I think this is from the show. It's shitsugen, which means like verbal gaffe or slip of the tongue type of thing.
Oh.
Shitsugen. Yeah, shitsu is like shippai no shitsu. So it means or ushinao means to lose or to fail. And then gen is say, the kanji for say. So shitsugen is verbal slip, verbal gaffe, slip of the tongue using improper words. Yeah, それは君失言だ.
Do you remember what scene that was from? Like the context of why that
I think it was the same scene. I think those 2 words were in the same scene where the police officer was talking about that. Like maybe something that I forgot exactly the context around that, but I think it was something he was saying, and then Kirihara responded to it, and he was saying that was a slip of the tongue, or something like that. I'm not really sure. But honestly, that came in my head. I heard him say that, and I was looking it up, and I didn't pause. So I was kind of like, paying attention to that word only and not really the surrounding conversation, which happens too. So I try to, like, if I'm looking up a word, I'll try to just look at. I just only wanted to look it up, honestly, to save it in my history for today. Then I didn't pause that part, but for the other words I did. The next word is taika, which is like resistance and value. And what it means is like compensation, or like equivalent value. Like consideration is also another translation, but that's kind of weird. I think that compensation and equivalent value are a little bit more close to. And what's interesting about this is that the keyakusha, the contractors, were saying this. They're saying that, this is my taika.
Oh, okay.
So there, the guy who was in the beginning when he was breaking his finger.
Yeah.
So that's his taika, and taika is like he needs to, in order to use that power, he needs to do something that is equivalent in value to use that power. Like I don't.
That's interesting.
It's kind of a hard thing to describe, but
yeah, in the English version, they used use payment.
Payment, yeah, okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting because they are slightly different.
They are slightly different. There's definitely a nuance. But I think that translating it in English, payment kind of makes more sense, because how is breaking your finger equivalent to whatever he did, like jumping or
flying?
Flying, yeah.
And then some of them are so like drastic. Yeah. Like that's one of the more extreme ones, like breaking your finger.
Yeah, like the guy who was just lining up stones on the table.
Yeah.
Like that's not really, that doesn't have, like, it's boring and menial, but he's like, I have no idea why I'm doing this, but I have to do it.
They have to do it. Yeah. One of them also, that's not really fair, is all he has to do is just eat a boiled egg.
Oh, I don't remember that one. Is that
like
later?
That's all. Yeah, I think it's towards the end. I just remember that being one of the weird ones.
I'm excited for that episode. Like I'm wondering, I don't want you to tell me, but I'm wondering if he's just carrying around a bunch of eggs and he has to like boil it on the spot, or it's really weird. So taika.
Stick to it to find out.
Yeah, seriously. That's the word for that. Everybody is taika. Huh. Resist. So the two kanji are like versus tai, and the next kanji is ka, which is value. So taika. And the next word I got is keha. So keha is I heard this when he was one of the contractors was it was the one dude with the long hair, and the other guy who was like really muscular, and he was sitting in a chair, and then he heard what did he hear? Dean was listening. She was like doing her mystical thing, right? Where she's like, she had her feet in the water or whatever, and then she was listening through the
water,
through the plumbing,
like
through the sink or whatever, listening to the two dudes. And then he went, "Kehashita." Like he looked over there and said "Kehashita," and so keha means sign or like indication. But he said "Kehashita," like I signed. I felt an indication. But so I was looking up other example sentences too, and like keha o kanjiteta. So kanjiru is like to feel or to experience. I think it's more like to feel. So that's another way to say that too. Is like keha o kanjita. But he said kehashita, which is interesting. That's another way to say that, I guess. Like I felt a sign of something amiss. So I'd imagine like if you're walking in some scary place with your friends or something like that, and you're like, keha o kanjita. Like I felt the sign, I felt the indication of somebody like nearby or something, keha.
You gotta get out of there.
So and the kanji for that, is the second one is weird, but the first one is ki, like air or mood or not wind, but the ki and genki.
Okay, I learned that as energy.
Energy, yeah. And by the way, I said keha, but it's kehai. That makes more sense. So, because the reading for ki, the energy, is an alternate reading is ke. And sorry for that. So it's not keha, it's keihai. That makes more sense too because the second kanji is deliver, and the onyomi for that is hai. So you can tell that I never knew this word until I heard that. So that's why I looked it up.
All those words you learned. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, and that's what's fun about this is learning all these words so we can talk about it. And then also it can stick in my head too when we're talking about it. So keihai is sign indication. So keihai. So keihai shita, keihai o kanjita is sign, indication, hint, presence. Presence, interesting.
Oh, that's
trend.
That's a good one too.
So the presence, so keihai shita, like there was a presence. I don't even know. I think it's more indication like or sign.
Oh, okay.
Well, keihai o kanjita, like I felt a presence. That makes more sense to me.
At least in the context of the scene.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to do that too. I want to start looking up some particular words that stick out to me, even though I don't know a lot of them. I'll just find, I'm sure, some kind of stick out more than others for whatever
reason.
Yeah,
try to break it out in your mind, or like if you hear it multiple times. Like I heard taika at least 3 times. Shiru candy, I knew it. I knew what that was. I knew what candy is, and I knew what shiru is. But I looked it up, and I was like, I wonder if that's one word. Like it's a common saying that people say. And sure enough, shiru candy showed up in the dictionary, and right to know is like a thing that shows up in the dictionary. Probably really common with like detectives and stuff, and like government.
That would explain.
Keihai is something I've never heard before, and that was interesting. Taika is also something that I kind of knew what they were talking about, but I didn't know exactly the nuance, so I looked it up.
Yeah.
And you probably hear that a lot moving forward. So listen for taika and listen for keihai, but definitely taika. All right, Khalil, your wall of shame words. Moving on.
All right, so we got one new word on here. I got but I don't know how to say it.
I wonder what you're learning the onyomi, right?
Yeah, this is the first time. I thought
sometimes they do the kunyomi too, which is weird. Like when you first learn it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't remember.
There's a couple actually for this one.
Is this like the same kanji you would use in like kita or?
Yeah, kita. Right? Yep. Or kuru.
Okay.
Yep.
That's the only reading I know. I don't remember the other one.
There's also rai.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, like Naishu, like next week, right? That's when you'd use it. Whoops.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the one I keep getting wrong.
So it's really weird.
But I know what it means.
There's also ko.
Oh.
Like to say, can you come is like koreru. Koremasu ka? Like can you come? Kuru is like the dictionary form. So there's ko, rai, ki for like past tense, kita, kimashita. It's weird. It's really weird.
That's gonna be a confusing one for me.
Yeah. But thankfully it's really, really common. So you hear it all the time.
Yeah. And the next one, I still have omoni on here, mainly. And funny enough, I saw someone else struggled with this word on the Wani Kani forums. I just saw it at the bottom of the page when I was done with like my review. and that kind of helped me kind of get the meaning down. Because that, like I mentioned last week, I struggle with like words that aren't necessarily like nouns.
Yeah, they're not nouns or verbs.
Yeah,
the in between adverbs and like helper words.
Yeah,
add more to the sentence, add a little bit of nuance to the sentence. Yeah.
And so that person got it confused with manly, which is
manly.
Kind of funny because that's only a 1-letter difference in.
Yeah, I wonder if their native language is not English.
It could be, or they could just be zooming through it and just not like reading the words, which I do.
But that's
sometimes.
Like real different though, because omo like primary or leader, like shoot. That makes more sense to me to be mainly or primarily
Yeah.
More so than manly. Like, so that makes me think that they're not a native English speaker. There's a lot of those using wanikani, which I think is going to be really tough because there's a lot of like mnemonics and stuff that are very American.
That's very true.
But leaning, yeah.
Which is funny because I didn't think.
I'd say most of the user. I don't know if this is true, but I could guess that at least 50% of the user base of wanikani is not from the US, are not from the US. Just perusing through the forums and stuff, people are from all over, which is super cool.
That's true. I see it now.
Yeah.
But what level are you right now?
55. Let me actually check that.
So 60 is the top, right?
60 is the top, but again, like I am 55. You have reviews and stuff forever. And I think they're probably adding a couple more bonus levels. I'm not really sure. But I know that 50 was the max level for a long time, and then they made it 60.
Oh,
so I think it was honestly just because they had more to go. But yeah, now it's 60.
Cool.
So and I have the lifelong package. So I'm gonna be doing it until I have no more reviews, and then still be perusing around the forums and stuff because this is a lifelong thing for me. It's always fun. I love wanikani.
Yeah, I also have the lifetime thing.
Cool. I should have honestly bought that in the beginning. I thought it didn't really make any sense, but I've spent in total probably $400 over. But that's over what, 7 or 8 years? When did I start wanikani? 2016.
Yeah, I was gonna say it probably wasn't
2013.
even
8 years.
8 years, huh?
Yeah, $5 a month. It's actually more now. So yeah, you should definitely get the lifetime package
if
you're paying the $9 or whatever it is now, 15.
I will say it helps with the dedication too.
That's kind of one of the reasons I kept it though, is to not which does the monthly?
No, the lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Because it's like for me, because it's like a bigger chunk that I can't get back. You know what I mean? Like if I do it monthly, I could stop anytime.
That's true. I felt with the monthly. That's a good point though. I felt with the monthly.
That's for me anyway.
For me, the monthly was charging every month for me, and I didn't want to quit it because I felt like a quitter. It's like a gym membership type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I got it in my head. Like, oh, I'm spending $5 a month on this. Like, but I don't want to cancel it. I really want to. But for me, it was never. For me, $4, $5, or whatever, it was totally worth it for me. So I didn't really have that in my head, but I have had that with other things in my life for sure. So I can imagine for a lot of people it can be that, like, oh, I'm not spending enough time on it. Oh, I'm just gonna stop it. But to your point, if you're spending $200, $300 on it or whatever, that's a bigger chunk of change, and you want to really buckle down and do what you paid for. So, but yeah, I would encourage anybody who's on the fence.
Motivation.
Yeah, it's cool. I would encourage anybody to.
Yeah, if they're on the fence, definitely
get it.
Yeah, definitely go monthly. Give it a taste.
Yeah, for sure. After level 3 or whatever, after the free tier, do it for a couple months, and then if you're like, you know what, I really want to learn Japanese, then buy the full thing when it comes around every year in December. We're not sponsored by wanikani.
Yeah, we should mention that. I didn't even think about.
They're just like, that's one of my, so as a entrepreneur, in like somebody's trying what's it called? I'm always trying to create new things and trying to let something have legs, which I've done a couple times with other things, but aspiring, that's what I wanted to say. But wanikani is one of those things that they spent so much time, like literally years of their lives, putting value into, and it is the de facto, everybody who studies Japanese uses it, kanji learning application. Like there's no other kanji learning application that is as good as wanikani, especially for reading and comprehension and just like general, kanji learning. It is the best thing out there, period. And no other thing can catch up because they're so far ahead. Yeah. So yeah, if you're on the fence, definitely do it. Cool. I have no change on my kanji, so we're going to skip that. I still have hinge and shine. That's going to be there for a long time until I burn one of them.
We'll get there. It'll be a milestone event on this podcast.
Hopefully, yeah, because I hate looking at them every week.
Speaking of which, though, we have episode 10 almost coming up. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Can you believe that?
No. Yes, I can't believe it. I will say that I'm a person of habit. Like I build habits. So, for example, I and Judy doesn't really understand how I do that, but I think of it as like little small things you do every single day that's going to add up for with the long haul. It's going to be a lot of hours spent. So like I have this, I don't know if I mentioned this before. I have this like food journal that I do. I take a picture of, everything I eat. And I've already been doing it I feels like I just started a couple of weeks ago, but it's already been 52 days.
Nice.
And literally everything, if I remember, which is most of the time, everything I eat, I take a picture of, or I write a little note. Okay, I forgot to take a picture. For 52 days, every single day, just like pictures and pictures and pictures of all the food I eat.
Yeah.
So,
that's
and
really
then
good.
if I remember, I have Judy rate the day. So yesterday was my birthday, and I ate a bunch of like sugary and fun birthday food, so I didn't have her rate my of the day.
I see. You immediately forgot to ask her, huh?
No. Actually, I said, "What do you think about yesterday?" And she said, let's just skip today. I was like, "Yes,
that's nice."
But my point being, though, like, so if you're again about the manga thing, if I'm reading 10 minutes a day, but I'm reading every single day, just like your 5 lessons a day thing, which I try to do too, with Honey, it adds up a lot. Like 52 days. I have also a one-line journal that I've been doing for a year and 3 months now.
A one-line journal?
So it's a one-line. It's called a one-line diary, and I write one line. And I also have another notebook thing that I do every single day too. This is like my goals for the day, and I do this every single day, in the morning or at night, every night. And the one-line diary though is interesting because you just write basically a synopsis of what you did, like the main things that are interesting to you. And so you write one line in your journal. And so a journal like this, for example, you'll write one line here, and then you can't see that at all. You'll write one line here, and then you'll leave like 5 spaces, and then you'll write another line here, then you'll leave 5 spaces, and you're of course write the dates. And the point of that is so you can see what you were doing on that day last year. So you'll have 5 years in total if you space it out correctly of everything that you did that day last year. So it was fun to read my line from last year, what I did on my birthday, and it was kind of boring. It was kind of boring compared to this year, but it's fun to see like every single day the things I did, and then sooner or later, 5 years later, I'll have a little diary book, and it's just one little line, like one little sentence, is a bunch of just points throughout the day. Like
that sounds cool. I think I want to try that.
It's literally what 2-3 minutes every night, and then
that.
Is that well? I do because I do this too. Like I'm setting my goals for the next day. This takes a lot longer for sure, but I feel like it's really valuable to me because I have things that I want to check off throughout the day, and it feels good to check them off. But the one-line diary is something that I will never stop because that's so easy and like fun. And it's fun to be like, "Hey, Judy, this is what you were doing last year on this day." She's like, "What?" Because like her cousins came not too long ago, and you would never remember that day.
Right.
But it's fun to kind of relive it just so like the words you wrote down on a page. Like, well, that's fun.
I agree with that. My memory is pretty bad with that kind of thing.
Everybody's memory is pretty bad unless you're either an elephant or you have some brain damage or something. Like a lot of people who get brain damage, are able to do crazy cool things with their brain. You're very, very. What I want to say is like you're very, very special, not in a bad way. Like you're special human if you can remember minute details and stuff, because most of us can't.
Yes.
So, yeah, and actually, I don't want to go down that road. I was listening to an interesting podcast about what's his face, Jim Quick, I think that's his name. He gives you, and he actually had brain trauma when he was a child, but he was talking about ways to remember things, and it basically involves prioritizing it, like giving value to it. So mnemonics, for example, like giving more attention to something that you want to remember, and giving it more thought, giving it more focus. It makes it already easier. So mnemonics, for example, I think are great about that because you're visualizing, you're like using your brain more than just like quickly scanning, because then you'll forget it, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to the grammar lesson.
Yay. Do it. Let's
Grammar, yay, learning.
So
the lesson this week is nagara. So Klo, I think I asked you before the show, but do you know what nagara means? Or have you heard it before? Okay. So nagara is used, it's appended to like a verb stem. So for example, taberu, the verb stem would be tabe. So basically everything that's not conjugated, everything that stays the same. So tabe, and then you add nagara to the end of it. So tabe nagara. Have you heard that before? Tabe nagara. Or maybe hashiri nagara. Hashiru. Hashiri nagara. Oh, I should mention that there are some words like hashiru that you add ri to it. So you don't say so hashiru, hashiri nagara. You don't say hashi nagara.
Oh, okay.
Hashiri nagara. There's probably some easy to remember rule for that. But maybe taberu is just like a it sounds kind of like a exception, because most words especially the ru verbs, you can add just ri. So hashiri nagara, so you add nagara to the end of hashiri. And actually you can add that to any noun. So you can say noun and then nagara, and it means while doing, while something. So if you're saying hashiri nagara, it means while running. Sort of simultaneously. So if I say like hashiri nagara sando tabeteta. So hashiri nagara sando tabeteta. So sando means sandwich. So while I was running, I was eating a sandwich. Or like tabe nagara. So while I was eating, hashirimashita. I ran. So, and you can use that for past tense. You can use that for present tense. That just means while, basically, while doing something. So yari nagara, tabe nagara, hashiri nagara, shaberi nagara means to talk, to chat, anything. And like any verb, you can add nagara to the end of it. And there's slightly, like I said, slightly different conjugations. But most of the time it's just verb and then like the ri, noun-izing form, or sometimes you'll just cut it off, like taberu. You'll just cut off do and add nagara. I'm looking through the Tofugu Bunpo article now to see if there's like any good exceptions. Oh, interesting. So this one said there's like a final, because they always have like these cool final notes at the end. This one says, 私はテレビを見ながら姉は料理をした. And this is apparently incorrect because it cannot be used to describe simultaneous actions that are carried out by two different people. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't think I ever really heard that. So, so the fix for that. So, for example, 私はテレビを見ながら姉は料理をした. So you would say that in English as, while I was watching TV, my older sister cooked food, right? And that's correct. I was watching TV while my sister cooked food. Like, it sounds fine, right? Or my sister cooked food while I was watching TV. That sounds totally correct, right, in English. But in Japanese, apparently that's not correct, because it can only be used for like the same subject. This is actually something that I didn't really think about ever, because I don't know if I've ever said that. I probably have used it wrong before. But the correct way to say that, and I've used this before, but I didn't really know that there was a nuance here. But this is interesting to me. The correct way to say that in Japanese would be, 私がテレビを見てる間に So that's probably new to you. 見てる間 is like aida is like interval or space of time. And so 見てる is like present. I'm currently watching, right? So 見てる間, so the interval while I am watching, に in, 姉は料理をした. So my older sister did cooking. So it's sort of the same way to say that, but it's a little different, and the nuance is different. Apparently, grammatically, that's more correct. Like in the interval that I was watching TV, versus, or in the span of time. That's kind of what it means. Like in the span of time where I was watching TV.
Interesting.
Older sister was doing.
That basically,
cooking.
because that's basically the same meaning as while, like in the interval of.
Yeah. But so that's the thing so the point of this is a lesson about nagara, right? So while, but it doesn't. What they're trying to say is it doesn't directly translate to while. It's used for the same subject. So if you're talking about yourself or talking about somebody, you say, it's almost like a comma in a way. But that's the thing is it's not directly translatable because there is a nuance there. And I think that's really interesting because I've never thought about this before at all. So I probably use nagara when I shouldn't have a lot. But I have used miteru aida ni, hashiteru aida ni. That's very common. I often like start off with that. But yeah, so just keep in mind the two subjects. You can use nagara almost all the time, but when there's two subjects, like you're switching in the middle of the sentence, and you're talking about two different subjects, you'll use like the aida ni form of this when you're trying to say while something is happening simultaneously. So like, Kariru ga tabeteru aida ni 私が検索しました. So while you were eating, I was looking up something. So like two separate subjects, we say 食べてる間に, like you're eating, while you were eating, the space of time that you were eating, I was doing this. It's just interesting that they're completely different.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So that's a good one. So look up nagara on Tofugu. We're also not sponsored. Tofugu is the company that made Wanikani. We're also not sponsored by them. They just have a bunch of good goodies that we use.
Right. Just so happens that they just have a lot of good content.
Yeah. Next segment is the reading the Japanese story. So I didn't know what actually this story, the second word in the story meant. The name of the story is tsuru no ongaeshi. So ongaeshi, I didn't know. Tsuru is a crane. Okay. But ongaeshi is like a favor that you need to return apparently. So it's like if somebody saved your life, or say for example, we're talking about Adam again. Adam had he's one of our really good friends. Adam he one time spun out entering the highway, and some guy towed him out of the ditch using his own car's seatbelt. So he took his own car's seatbelt, cut it, and then like latched it onto his pickup, and then onto the front of Adam's car. I don't know if you remember this, Khalil.
I don't remember this.
Oh, okay, this is crazy.
I don't remember the story.
This is crazy. So and then he took that seatbelt because they're strong, and latched it onto his hitch, and then latched it onto Adam's front of his car, and then towed him out of that ditch. And so like Adam no ongaeshi wa, like he needs to do something for him. So that's what this means. So here we go. I haven't pre-read this as we do on this podcast. So I'm gonna do my best. And here we go. 昔々優しいおじいさんとおばあさんがいました. They all start off like this, by the way. Because these are all like these. I was going to say,
that sounds awfully familiar.
These are all, I almost said legendary, like Dendo Tekina. They are, what are they called? Not nursery rhymes, but really, really common
they're kind of like traditional stories.
Traditional stories, yeah.
Or folk tales is probably the word you're looking for.
Yeah. ある寒い日、おじいさんは町に行きました。帰りに鶴がトラップにかかっていました。おお、かわいそうに。おじいさんはかわいそうに思って鶴をsorry, one second. 鶴を逃がしました。鶴はおじいさんの上に飛んで、顔と嬉しそうに泣いて飛んでいきました。その夜に雪が降り始めて、大雪になりました。おじいさんがおばあさんに鶴の話をしていると、ドアからトントントントントンと聞こえました。すみません、開けてください。おばあさんがドアを開けると娘を立っていました。おばあさんは驚いて、まあ、寒かったでしょう。早く入ってください。と言いました。娘が中に入って、私はこの辺りで人を探していましたが、迷いました。暗くなって雪が降ってここまで来ました。今日ここに泊まってもいいですか？おばあさんはかわいそうにどうぞここに泊まってくださいと言いました。娘は嬉しそうにありがとうございますと言いました。その夜、娘が食事を作って働いて休みました。朝におばあさんが起きると娘はもう起きて働いていました。娘が掃除をしてて朝の食事を作っていました。まあ、お掃除までしてくれてありがとうございます。次の日も、I need to say that with a different voice, sorry. まあ、お掃除までしてくれてありがとうございます。次の日も大雪でドアを開けることができませんでした。おじいさんが、おう、よく働く娘だね。こんな娘がここにいてくれて嬉しいと言って、娘がここに住んでもいいですか？まあ、おじいさんとおばあさんが嬉しかったです。それから3人楽しい毎日を過ごしました。ある日、娘がおじいさんに何かを作りたいです。糸を買ってくださいと言いました。おじいさんが糸を買ってきました。娘が後ろの部屋にいて、作り終わるまで見ないでください。このドアを開けないでくださいと言いました。3日が経ちました。やっとドアが開いて、娘がおじいさんおばあさん町にこれを売りに行って、帰りに糸を買ってくださいと言って、美しい織物を2人に見ました。これは素晴らしい。おじいさんは町に織物を売りに行って高く売りました。おじいさんは嬉しく糸を買って帰りました。娘はまた作り始めました。おばあさんは、おじいさん、娘はどうしてあんな素晴らしい織物を作ることができるでしょう。ちょっと見ましょう。おばあさんがちょっとドアを開けてみました。娘はいませんでした。鶴でした。鶴が自分の羽と糸を作って織物を作っていました。おじいさん。驚いたおばあさんがおじさんにこのことを話しました。娘が部屋から出てきました。おじさん、私を見ましたね。私はあの日にトラップにかかっていた鶴です。かかっていた鶴です。おじいさんは嬉しかったから、おじいさんは優しかったから、私は2人のいい娘になりました。でももう行きます。ありがとうございます。娘は鶴になって、おじいさんとおばあさんの上を飛んで、カオとなって飛んできました。 おじいさんとおばあさんは、鶴、いや、娘、ありがとうございますと言いました。それから娘が作った織物を高く売って、そのお金で幸せに暮らしました。終わりです。
Wow.
So it's like one of those moral of the story or whatever is like be nice to everybody, I guess. Including
like
cranes stuck in traps.
Yeah, I got lost after that part.
Which part did you get lost at?
Like the beginning quarter. After that, I was like, what is happening? There's a lot of new words.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
驚いて、まあまあ寒かったでしょう。驚いて, do you know what that means? I'm looking through all the kanji that maybe you don't know. So 驚いて is, are you reading along, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 驚いて is like surprised. I'm sure that the bottom of this article has references too, but
sure
I would love to put this again in the description. I forgot to do this last time in our last video, but I want to put the stories in the description. So, yeah, orimono is like not cloths. Sorry, not clothes, but like cloths. Just like fabric, basically.
Oh, okay. I'll just have to I'll have to break this down because there's a whole list of the vocabulary.
Yeah, I wonder what they put for orimono down there, but that's what it means is like claws. Unless I'm somehow mistaken, but I do remember it means fabric or claws. Yeah, fabric. Right there. So there's some other words too, like so tsuru again is crane. That's the so hane is a feather.
Yeah.
Shiawase is happy or like happiness. Okane is money.
Money.
Ito is thread. There's a bunch of simple kanji, to be honest. I think the most complicated one, if you didn't know, is probably orimono, which is just fabric. Soji is to clean. So yeah, basically the gist of the story was the Oji-san, like the grandpa, he was walking. Yeah. They were walking, right, and they found the crane, and he let the crane go because it was stuck in the trap, and there was a musume, so there's like a younger girl waiting outside the door, and when it was really, really cold, and they let her in, and then like let her work for them, and then they basically she made them fabric that they could sell in town, and so they sold the town for a lot of money. Or sorry, sold the fabric in town for a lot of money, and then they were all happy and whatnot. And then they were so curious as to why it took her so long and how she was making the cloth, and so they opened the door a little bit because she said, "Don't look inside. Don't look how I'm making this stuff." And then they looked at the end and found that she was actually a crane. And then at the end, she describes why she was making, as a crane, why she was making this fabric for them, because she was a crane that they let go from the trap.
Okay.
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a cute little story. I'll try to remember to link this in the description. And I'd like to probably link all the stories and stuff that we read in the description, including like the transcript from our next conversation practice that you're going to start. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready?
Yep.
To spaghetti. Okay. I'm going to Frankenstein a sentence to start it off.
Frankenstein a sentence?
Yeah, I'm going to Frankenstein it. Okay. I'm sorry these are all similar. I'm very limited, so I could basically just ask you a new question to start off the conversation every time.
Sure. I'll ask you a question too.
Okay. Okay, Pato-san. 恥ずかしな体験は何
恥ずかしいな体験は、まあ、たくさんありますよ。たくさんありますよ。一個は、一つあるね。一番なんか今思い出した体験は、ちっちゃい頃に弟と同じ学校に行ってて、それで、なんか休みの時間、昼休み、ランチの時間で、僕たちが、なんか、滑り台とかある場所で、なんか、そのマキーバーズがあるじゃん。そのマキーバーズを掴んで、なんか、遊んでたんだけど、でもこうやって、まっすぐに行って、こうやって、やったら、弟が、ちょっと待って、なんか掴むから、一緒に、なんか遊んで、一緒に行けるじゃん、って言われて、で、はい、で、待ちながら、僕の弟が、なんか、後ろから僕がここにいるじゃん。で、後ろから飛んできて、で、僕の半ズボンじゃない、ズボン。僕のズボンを掴んで、引っ張って、で、脱がしちゃった。僕のズボンを。それで僕のパンツすごい丸見えで、みんな見えました。だから、すごい怒って僕が弟に、何やってんのって。それで、すぐ、ズボン履いて、それで、なんか気になって、なんか、どのくらい何人が見てるかって、なんかちょっと調べて、でも2人、3人、4人ぐらいしか見てないから大丈夫だと思って、でもまだちょっとなんか、いかつだから、結構ね、その日が悪かったです。そういう話。
かわいそうに。
かわいそうでしょう。そう。カリルはありますか？恥ずかしい思い出。
はい。に年、no。2枚年、私は大学生、shoot。試験テスト
試験？
はい、
そう。
試験をします。みんなはうるさいじゃない、小さい声、なんですか？
すごい、そう。すごい、もう無言、もうさーって何も、シーンって。シーンって。
これは何ですか？水の。
水筒
はい。水筒を水を飲みます。下がる？飲んでも下がる。
落としちゃった。落とす。
はい。
落としちゃって、話しちゃって。
はい。話しちゃって、でも、うるさいの。
すごいうるさいの音が。
はい、すごい。
響いちゃったね。
でも、皆さん、頭が、見ますんで、
でもなんか、おならじゃなくてよかったよね。ただ、水筒の音だけだよね。それがいいよね。
何？
おならわかる？
おなら
おならわかる？
いえ。
ほら、お尻から出る音。
お
尻からの音。
おいしいから
お尻からの音。
いえ。
じゃなくてよかった。
はいはい。
スイートの音だけで。
はい、でも、スイートは、マテリアルは、
生地
コパ、鉄、
生地は鉄か金属な。
はい、はい、鉄。
金属な、鉄。
でも、
鉄じゃないよね。
壁は、ハトさん。壁、窓、壁、でも、何ですか土、中、土
地下
地下 floor?
床
床は、中で、
床の中に、
no, no. hollow は何ですか
空っぽなんかスペースがある。
はい、はい。スペースがあり、what was it? 何ですか
何床空っぽ。
床は空っぽ。でも、音が、音いっぱい
すごい響いた。もう大きな音になっちゃって、みんな聞こえたぐらい音が大きい。そっか。それがちょっと、これ最近の話
最近の話
何年間前だっけ何年間前
何年
何年間前何年前
何年前はい、
2年前ぐらい。
2年前3年前。
なんか可愛い話だね。あれは。すごい可愛い話ね。みんなあると思う、そういう話。でも僕がね、もう一つの思い出した恥ずかしい体験があります。クラスだっけで、いや、なんか、小学校か中学校か。でもなんか、私立な学校で、プライベートの学校で行きましたので、その時に、なんか他の生徒、女の子、でもその女の子が横に座って、で、二人でなんか、プロジェクトか何かやってて、パソコンで。それで僕がおならしちゃって、で、もうその部屋もシーンってなってて、でもシーンってなってる状態なのに、僕がおならしちゃって、すごい頑張ってしないようにしてたのに。で、すごい、パソコンやりながら、おならしないで、自分に言って、ずっと、おならしないで。で、我慢できなくて、おならしちゃって、で、横の、本当にこんな近くに座ってる女の子が、僕のことを見て、おならしたって聞かれて、で、してないとか、嘘ついて言ったんだけど、しちゃった。おならしちゃった。で、なんか、恥ずかしいからもちろん、だから笑いながら、してない。僕が、知らない風にしてた。それは恥ずかしい思い出でした。そう。今、やっと言えます。やっと教えます、その話は。じゃあ、他の言いたいことがありますか？
いえ。
聞きたいことないですか？
ない。
はい。じゃあ、会話ありがとうございます。お疲れ様です。
お疲れ様。
おしまい。Yay.
Yay.
That was good.
That was hard.
Sorry, was I speaking too fast at the end? You good?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I got your first story more so than your second one, I would say.
Oh, okay. The first story that was hard for me to say because I was trying to say swing. And then I know that yurase.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
yuragu. No, it's not a swing. It's a yuro. And then we handle monkey bars is actually saru watari.
Oh.
The watari is like to cross, and saru is obviously monkey. Mm-hmm. And also they say jungle gym. Jungle gym.
That's funny.
That's funny. Yeah, unte is another word, but they probably don't use that. They probably use saru watari.
Saru watari.
Yeah. But I was trying to say huru, or maybe I don't know if it's that, honestly. It's probably yuragu. I need to ask Judy later what it means to swing. Like hold like and then to swing like that. Maybe I would probably say saru mitai ni ogoku. Like walk or move like a monkey across the saru watari. That's probably a better way to say that. But yeah, that's not often that I have to say that. So that was
that's
hard for me. Hard for me to describe. Yeah. By the way, it's funny. I tried to do the monkey bars the other day, and holy crap, it's so hard when you get older.
Yeah. Well,
the reason it's hard for me is not the like the pull up part. It's hard for me because my hands are so soft. So like the monkey bars like pinch your skin.
Yeah, like around where your fingers.
And because I'm fat, like it pinches my skin and then it digs into my fingers, and then that's the pain that when I move. So I need to just get more calluses and then be able to. I need to rock climb more or something.
Oh man.
Yeah, I skate too much. I need to start using my arms and my hands and my shoulders and stuff.
Yeah, build up your upper body now. Those hands.
Yeah, but then I'll be like top heavy, and I don't want to be top heavy for skateboarding and surfing and stuff. So there's the issue.
Then just work out your legs more.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Just scale up
I should probably just at least do a little bit. Yeah. For sure. Then I become like a saru, and I can use the saru watari better. So the last part I was trying to say, I don't know if you got this. I was in a private school, and then a small classroom, and it was really quiet. Mm-hmm. And me and this other girl, we were working on a project at the computers, and it was really quiet in the classroom, and then I farted, and I was like really embarrassed, and I acted like I was trying to hold it in, but I couldn't. And then it's often like the farts that you try to hold in really, really, really hard that come out really, really bad, right?
Yeah.
So it was like really bad.
Vengeance.
Yeah. And she immediately turned to me and she's like, "Was that you? You fart?" And she was like sitting right next to me. And I was like, "No." And I was trying so hard not to like laugh or like, because I was so embarrassed. I did smile though, because I'm a bad liar. But that was definitely really, man, I was probably what, 11 or 12 or something.
You know, it's funny. It's funny how we seem to remember like older experiences a lot more than more recent ones.
A super embarrassing recent experience? Not too many, yeah. I mean, because a lot of it was in school. Like, school is just uncomfortable and super embarrassing.
School really is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is just a recipe for a lot of awkwardness.
Yeah, because you have to be around people that you don't really necessarily want to be around, and like don't choose to be around. Yeah, so there's a lot more opportunity for those types of things, which I think is some sort of good and sometimes bad, because these are all like cute stories, right? They're nothing really.
Right. Nothing
to most people, nothing really bad happens. Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
Cool. And your story about the water bottle was really, really cute. Like, I mean, I've had, at least it wasn't a fart, because like that's happened before though, and during a test.
Yeah.
Finals, and somebody farts, and then everybody's like, okay. But the thing is, like in university or community college, like everybody's older, right? So people are like, whatever. Like we're all nervous. It's all good. But when it's elementary school or something like that, it just becomes this huge thing.
It's a dog eat dog world, man.
It's the funniest thing in the world is that. Yeah. Oh my god. Like moving from, because I went from a private school to a public school, and that was like going from sheltered life to like the world in a public school and middle school. Like middle school was the worst.
Yeah, middle school sucks.
That was like what Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide times 50 as far as like the craziness that unfolded. Jeez, man, middle school. Those are the days. I don't miss it at all.
No.
Cool.
Well, that was a good one, huh?
Yeah, that was a really good starter. I like that. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
We need more of those. And I definitely that's good for me. All these are really good for me too, because I have to know how to explain things that I don't normally explain, like from memory, like the monkey bars thing. Because normally, because I do that a lot with my in-laws. Like I'll tell them a story about something that happened to me like a long time ago. It's just it comes up in normal conversation because we're with each other so much. But that's one of those stories that Judy would definitely help me out with. Like she would definitely say, "Oh yeah, like monkey bars." Then she would explain what that is to them. And then I could continue my story, but she would like describe it for me.
Okay.
What exactly I'm talking about if they seem confused. And then I would know, oh, that's how you say that. And then I would she would help me out. But when I have no help, it's good because I have to think of a different way to explain it. As if, like I was with them. And I also have to put it in simple words too, because if I'm talking to a Japanese speaker, they'll know like all the words and they can help me out. But when it's us, like we have to figure out how to have a conversation when we both don't know, we aren't fluent Japanese, like fluent native Japanese speakers, right? So it's interesting. It's like listening to two people from different countries who are not native English speakers in the United States speaking to each other. It's so cool though, because they like find a baseline like general version of English they both understand, and they understand each other just fine. Like it's kind of cool.
It is.
English is the international language, but and we're doing the same kind of thing in Japanese, and it's so normal in English, but we're doing the same thing in Japanese right now, which is really awkward for us because we both speak English as our main language. So yeah, it's real fun. And the last segment before we peace out is the recommendation section. I didn't have anything except for Todai. Did you have anything else, Khalil?
No.
So Todai is it's on Android because you have an Android phone, right?
Yes.
It's an Android and iOS
also on
news app. Also not sponsored. Very good. And so look up Todai, Todai. And
once again, it would be cool if we were.
Yep, we are totally open to sponsors. We're totally open to sponsors. That'd be awesome. We're gonna keep doing this regardless, but for our own practice and because it's fun. But yeah, we love sponsors as well.
Very nice.
Do you have anything else to say, Chloe, before we head out?
No.
Before we close this thing?
Just gonna keep on chugging along,
Keep trucking. Journey. Keep trucking.
Keep on trucking or carring or
keep
whatever.
Trucking, mother truckers.
Whoa. This is
that video that YouTube video of that kid saying fire truck in his own way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's an old classic internet video right there.
Oh yeah. And then blood. Okay, anyways. We're getting long here.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, guys.
Sa ni ishi. Boy.
Whoa. Violence.
Dale.